Good morning, and I want to thank my colleagues and Brina O'Donnell in our office and your Senator Roger Hannafin and Mairead for putting this motion. And we stand proud over this motion because it's what the people are telling us. We're in touch with the people, and we're not going to listen to arrogance and petulance from a minister that normally leaves the chamber. You got caught today. You normally run out before we speak because you don't like us for some reason or other. But the facts. What about the USC? What about the USC charge that you promised in 2016 budget that you were going to abolish? What about that, Minister? What about you mentioned the double taxation allowance? 80% of the work on agriculture is done by contractors. They don't qualify for that. If you ever stood in a field, or if you ever went outside the leafy suburbs of Dublin, you'd understand that and put on the pair of Wellingtons. But no, you had a Dublin 4 set. But you get Dublin 4 set from the people. Turn the Dina on across the Arfad. And to take this joke of a carbon tax, of course we voted against it. We are opposed to it because it's a punitive tax and it's not fairly spread and it hits the weakest people and most vulnerable the hardest and hits rural dwellers the hardest because they have to, unless they're going to walk, they can't get anyplace else without a vehicle, a motor vehicle. You bought into government, bought into power, clung on to it again by supporting the Greens, and you're dancing the merry tune ever since that you have formed the government. It's just shocking the cost increases that are out there, and the cost of living is so high. I haven't time to repeat them all here today, but I have them. And we all know when mum's purse on a Friday evening, we all know that any of us that have children in college or anyone that have children in school uniforms, books, you name it. But on the agricultural sector, you're welded to the big conglomerates, the multi-billions of profit that they're making, and not a word said to them. You're welded to them. Fine Gael is certainly, and now Fianna Fáil are as well. They used to be the party of the ordinary people. Now they're the party of the rich conglomerates, and you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. Closing down our power stations because of this nice pipe dream the Greens have. Stopping the peat harvesting and importing it from Poland. So kindergarten children wouldn't behave like this. If you want to be insulting to us, Minister, I won't be insulting, but kindergarten children wouldn't behave like this because it's utterly stupid and nonsense. And you've broken promise after promise after promise after promise after promise. We are proud to bring this motion. You put down an amendment, your government did. I failed in this House, and thanks to the ushers for searching, could not get a copy of the amendment. We won't even give it us a copy to read your amendment. You just put it down and move it and say we wouldn't listen. We listen intently, like you when you come in here to the chair. When our turn comes to speak, you fly out like a scalded cat out to a skylight in case we say something, remind you some of the truths. The USC, as I said, was supposed to be removed and is a punitive tax on all earners, low earners especially, and it wasn't removed. But the farmers are struggling. They can't afford to eke out a living. Farm families, the backbone of all the rural communities and all rural families and indeed urban families as well, they can't afford the heat. You can do it. Sweden were able to drop their oil prices back by VAT and excise duties back to 2018 levels. Why can't you do it? You tell us that we wouldn't cost our budget. That's simple additions. The euro at the moment is 170 a litre, and a euro goes into government coffers through VAT, excise duty, and VAT and excise duty and carbon tax now as well. Another carbon hike on the way again here, and you'll force it through with your cobbled up government that you have here, licorice, all sorts, dodgy mixture. But as you know, the costs out there, as I said, ordinary household items, margarine up by 37%, vegetable oil up by 16%, pasta up by 15%, ordinary basic requirements for people to live and nourishment. Jam and honey, I see you don't use much honey anyway, where you lecture us here, up by 14%, lamb up by 12%, and milk 9%, eggs, etc. And the paltry sum then that you could give to pig farmers. We won't have a pig industry. I welcome the 7 million. Of course they do. Millions don't grow on trees, but they are in trouble. They're losing a vast amount of money per item. And you could make do one thing for the country, not to do with money. Speed up the passports or the visas applications for people that want to come into work in the pig industry, in the factory in the north of Ireland. They're down to 60% of the staff what they had, and they can't kill the pigs. So there's animal welfare crisis, there's a huge crisis on the farmers getting paid, and the animals being returned. So all across the economy. Simple, wouldn't cost a penny. Just wake up in the Department of Enterprise and they get these workers who want to come in. Many good employers have gone out to source this labour. They want to get the paperwork sorted out. Their applications have been dealt with now since last October. But on agriculture, the last 3 recessions I remember, it was the Ferramori and the Heron, the farmers that rescued the people, our economy each and every recession, and they provided for people and everything else. They'll do it again. But the spirit is nearly broken. The candle is nearly quenched because the conglomerates are around them. They're forcing down the prices of their products and they're forcing down, and then they're buying up the land as well. But of course you give an open door, and you particularly, Minister, to the vulture funds and to all these people to buy up land and sell it. It's an abject wrong, Minister, that land, that I have a property and it can be sold on by a bank or a lending institution to a vulture fund. That's not legal. But you turn a blind eye to it. Laws don't matter here anymore. People don't matter. All your interests is in these big conglomerates. Let them do what they like. We see the warning from Tesco that we're only at the beginning of the price hikes at Tesco and the money they make. And don't even bank a penny in this country, as far as I understand. And all those big conglomerates, they're beautiful. You love them. You love him. The small man, the small businessman, employing himself, his family, and I talk farmers here, that employ maybe a son or a daughter, maybe 1 or 2 labour, pay their contractors, pay everybody. They're honest to goodness people, but they will be unable to pay because they can't keep going the way they are. And we're pleading with the government. And you put down this half-baked amendment that you won't even give us a copy of it to read. Is paper that scarce? Has Eamon Ryan and Imbago on you printing the amendments? Time after time now we'll come in here topical issues, etc., and we can't get copies of the minister's reply because the replies, you're embarrassed to have them read out, and you should be embarrassed with that amendment you put in today. Fine Gael, it's supposed to be the Farmers' Party, the Farmers' Party, we always knew it as, but where are they gone? They've abandoned rural Ireland. They've abandoned the people, clinging on to power for another 10 or 11 years to ensure that your pensions and everything else, and to hell with our Connacht. Cromwell wasn't as bad with the hell of the Connacht. It's the hell of any place else now with the farmers and their families, and with their schools, post offices. Every facet of rural Ireland will be undermined and attacked. And earlier today, Minister, yourself and Minister McConlogue had a fine big chat, maybe about his trade mission he was on. I hope that was successful. And when Deputy Nolan was speaking, it was the height of you know what, and you lecture us then about not costings. You've whole departments to cost. What happened when Mr. Watt got his big prize? Who costed that? Nothing at all. Write cheques away. The money the HSV spent, and the scandals being exposed by papers now. So look after the farming community before we won't have them, and look after the people of rural Ireland, because they won't be able to they won't be able to live. I said it here another day, and like saying it, they'll be dying in their houses with the cold. You're talking about the retrofit schemes. They're already 2 years behind in retrofit schemes in my county, and the same every other place. And they must have €500 up front. Many families don't have €500 up front to get the house assessed. They don't have it. Something like that floating around because they're living from week to week and day to day, and that's the way it is. I understand I'm taking other people's time, Count Conan, so I will respectfully in my contribution, but I will not take a lecture ever again from you, Minister, because you have reneged on every promise you ever made in the last 10, 15 years, and to tell us then that we don't cost it. And your costings, and the costings of the Children's Hospital, and the costings of many other projects that you do in broadband, and you have the cheek to tell us we didn't cost it. It's laughable, to be honest. But look, anyway, I want to propose my, we're moving my motion, Count Conan.
Thank you very much.